What happens when you do stuff to stuff? A video presentation by Sami. The first thing we used was a tenon saw. Tenon saws are mainly used for making precise cuts, such as those in furniture. First is the marking process, where we outline what we want to cut. Next, we use a clamp so that our material is firmly in place for all of the cutting. Finally, we cut the material using our tenon saw. The materials we used mainly throughout this were plywood, a board made up of multiple layers of wood glued together; MDF or medium density fireboard, a collection of fine wood particles bound by resin; and acrylic, a transparent plastic material which has a high stress resistance. The same process was used when cutting out with a coping saw, a saw with a very narrow blade used for cutting curved edges. We also used an abraphile, a saw that has multi-directional cutting and is commonly used for making shapes out of sheet metal. Finally, we used some power tools, including the scroll saw. A scroll saw is a small electric or pedal-operated saw used to make intricate cuts in wood and other materials. Lastly, we used a laser cutter, which contains a powerful laser beam that is used to cut shapes out of any material, including wood and acrylic. When cutting MDF for prolonged periods of time, it is important to wear PPE, otherwise known as personal protective equipment, as often when cutting or wasting, carcinogenous fibers from the MDF can enter our respiratory system, which can be harmful and potentially lethal. Most importantly, one should always wear a surgical face mask when cutting MDF. This will prevent potentially carcinogenic fibers from entering the respiratory system. We then moved on to interlocking structures. Interlocking structures are made by linked or locked parts of a system, which are bound together without any joints or bolts. We also looked at an interference fit, which is characterized by the fastening between two objects that produces a joint held together by friction. We used vernier calipers to measure the dimensions of the acrylic. We then used CAD/CAM visual design software to build the lines by which our acrylic will be wasted for laser cutting. Finally, for the great reveal. Unfortunately, I don't have any photos of my interlocking structure. However, it should be said that an interlocking fit was not made. Despite this, I found that combining one of the parts with that of a fellow classmate formed an interlocking structure. That's it. Thank you for watching this presentation on what happens to stuff when you do stuff to it.